Greetings, 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 massive. Greetings, everybody. Today is going to be something about money. Today is going to be something about mindset, motivation, mood, emotion, all these kind of things, and how it basically affects decisions regarding money, decisions regarding finance, and that kind of plays into a lot of other things. But the main thing of the thought for today is really going to be about understanding different types of moods and personalities, basically like being in a different type of mindset, having a certain type of mental buildup that is developed over years and years, and how that relates to financial decisions, how that relates to investing money, how that relates to running a business, basically managing money, spending money, things like that. A lot of that comes down to also is taking risks because, as you all know, being an entrepreneur really requires taking risks, you know, and I think really that can go down to pretty much everything in life. Like if you want to find success, if you want to experience something that's, different from the day to day, play it safe, boring type existence that a lot of people live, then you really got to take risks. And being a successful entrepreneur comes down to knowing when to take risks, knowing what kind of risks to take. And this is just generally how your financial well-being is going to be affected too. Is how do you deal with money? Like how do you think about money? That kind of stuff. So yeah, gonna get into some of the motivation behind money, some kind of emotional and financial, what some people might call wounds or mistakes of the past, and how that affects success and money in the future and in the present. And look at just kind of like the psychology behind risk taking. Um, different kind of emotions and how that relates to decisions that people make regarding finances and money. The kind of mindset that can lead to success and the kind of mindset that can lead to mistakes. And what kind of events in life are gonna cause certain mindsets that are gonna cause certain decisions, really. So, I would have to say, personal experience, I really kind of got into um, these kind of teachings and this kind of mindset when I first started studying business. But it was really, just reading about it. It wasn't anything that I could really get a grasp on, understand to the level that I needed to understand it, because it was, basically just learning about it, and it wasn't really applying, just general things here and there. I would have to say, phase in my life where I was playing a lot of poker was when I really, learned about these type of teachings firsthand. And this was just kind of like getting into it and understanding that there's a lot to do with, mindset and decisions regarding finances, stuff like that, really. Because poker is a game where you win and lose is based on how much money you make. That's your progress. That's, if you're winning money over time, then you're doing good. If you're losing money, you're not. And one of the biggest things about poker is, if you are thinking about the money, it's going to affect you in a negative way. Like, you need to be able to disregard the value of money. You need to be able to look at the decisions that you're making in regards to, is this a solid decision based on the cards that are out there and the cards that are in my hand. The second you start thinking about, uh, you know, this is regarding, $10,000. If I mess this up, I'm going to lose $10,000, or if I can somehow win this, I'm going to win $10,000. Once you start thinking about stuff like that, it's going to cloud your judgment. You're not going to make that good a decision. You're going to be a losing player over time. So basically, uh, you know, other concepts like bankroll management, preservation of money, basically just not losing money, stuff like that. So I got into it through that. That was where I really started to get into it. But over time, having different businesses, some successful, some not successful, realizing how there's different struggles in regarding money and the growth of business, spending money, hiring people, stuff like that. A lot of that comes down to mindset. Um, but and really now too, I'm starting to learn it on a much bigger level when it comes to investing and trading, because that's really where you can learn about yourself in regards to decisions that you make about finance and about money on a whole nother level. And once you start to become an investor, once you start making investments, once you start getting into that game, because once you have extra money, like, honestly, I would have to say it's pretty stupid to keep it in a bank and just let it sit in a bank, because you're basically losing money. The bank's the one that's making money, not you. So what you want to do, is you want to be at a level where you're taking your excess money and you're investing it into something that's going to bring you a return. And over the years, you can get better at having the right mindset for investing and things like that, because it's a lot harder than it looks to be a successful investor. So many people fail, and it comes down to really, really knowing yourself and learning about yourself over time in regards to the decisions that you make about money. And not only does investing show you that like nothing else I've ever seen before does, but it can also provide you with returns like nothing else I've ever seen. So basically, yeah, gonna go over motivation, some of the emotional and financial wounds that can happen over time, how to deal with those, uh, different emotions and how they can cause different decisions, and just like the winning mindset and the losing mindset, really. So yeah, to start out, really, so the mindset you have is definitely going to heavily determine the amount of income that you're bringing in and the amount of income that you're able to preserve. I've heard many wise people say before that it's really easy to make money, but it's a lot harder to hold on to it. A lot of people, they think making more money is gonna get them out of some kind of hole they're in, something like that, and then they find that they make more money and they're just in a bigger hole. So it's all about personal mindset. um yeah, you could spend all your time learning to make money, but if you don't spend time on learning how to preserve it, then it's a good chance that it's not going to stick around. A lot of professional athletes you hear about, it's pretty high numbers, something above 50%, where a year or 2 years later after they retire, that they're totally broke after making millions of dollars a year for just basically playing a sport that they love. So getting more into it, uh, a huge factor in how much money you're going to bring in, how successful you're going to be, is going to be what your motivation is. Like, why do you even want to make money in the first place? Like, why do you even want success in the first place? So you want to look at, what do you want in life? you know like, look at it from two different perspectives. Look at it from a monetary perspective, like what kind of physical things do you want to buy, what kind of experiences do you want to buy, travel, stuff like that. What kind of money do you feel like you need to survive, really? Like, what kind of money do you feel like you need to be comfortable, for your family to be comfortable, for anybody who's dependent on you to be comfortable? And then you also want to look at another area that I think a lot of people don't really consider, but is huge, is what do you emotionally feel like you need from a money perspective? Like, how much money do you think you need to have peace of mind of security? How much money do you think you need so that you can have freedom? And now a lot of people don't even consider this stuff. A lot of people don't. It's hard to say that people don't want freedom, but a lot of people aren't actively seeking it out. A lot of people are and I don't know if I would say fine going to a job, a 9 to 5 every day, but they just put up with it because they think it's all part of the system, what they got to do because it's what everybody else is doing. They don't understand their way out. And that's really what motivates me doing this is trying to show people that, hey, like, you can make way more money doing what you love. It'll be way more fun. At the end of the day, you'll feel like you put way less effort to it. You'll feel way less drained. You will feel more alive than anything. Like most people I see, you're not going to feel like you need to go to the bar, have a beer after work, that kind of stuff. Yeah, so really, like what kind of like situation do you want to be in? Um, all material things aside, for me, really, it was freedom from the start. Like, I just wanted to be able to enjoy what I did every day and not have to worry about spending 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, not including transportation and all that kind of stuff, making enough money just so I can pay my rent and put some food on the table, and then not really have that much money. And even when I thought like $50,000 was gonna provide me with some kind of freedom, that being kind of like a medium of average of how much people make in the United States, 50, that like 2 months, and that really didn't seem like anything at all. Now I realize, people that, even the higher up people in the United States, that are making like $100,000-$200,000 a month, or I mean a year, sorry, a year from a job that they do. I mean, really, that doesn't give you much room to take breaks, to really do anything until you retire. So yeah, basically, you want to look at all the motivations and make sure you're very clear on that, because you're gonna find, like law of attraction says, is what you ask of the universe, that the universe is trying to help you out and bring you the things you ask. So just be clear on what you want. Just how much money do you want? Why do you want the money in the first place? Alright, so now you want to look at things like emotional wounds and financial wounds, because those things are very important when it comes to decisions about money. Now, financial wound would come from, maybe losing money. Like, maybe in the past, uh, you made an investment. Let's say it was like Apple. Let's say you bought a bunch of Apple stock. Let's say you bought a bunch of Apple stock, and then 2 months later it went down 20%. And you're like, oh man, I just lost 20% of my income. So you sell it. And then 3 months later it goes up 30%. Right? So that's going to be like a huge wound, because you're like, oh, I lost money, but if I just hadn't sold. So now you're angry because you lost money, that the stock went down, but now you're also angry because at yourself, because you sold the stock at the worst possible time, like a lot of people do, because of the way that they react to these kind of price movements and news about certain things like that. So this is a very common problem that people have, and this is going to leave some kind of financial wound. So that's going to affect you in the future, and it's going to make a huge impact on future decisions that you make about money. And the question is it going to help you, or is it going to hurt you? And in a lot of cases it hurts people because they don't know how to deal with these kind of things. And then there's emotional wounds that derive from financial wounds, like in this case of losing money and anything like that. You're going to be angry, probably going to be angry that you sold it early. You're going to be angry that the price went down. So that's going to be a major one. Envy. Maybe you had a friend who didn't sell, and then they made a lot of money, and then you're like, oh man, that person made a lot. Like, how come I can't? I need to like make up for that. That type of mindset. And confusion is a very, very bad type of outcome from a financial wound too, because it could have been like you had good information, you did the right research when you made that type of investment, but at the end of the day you reacted to something that happened, the price going down. Maybe there was some bad news story on TV or the internet about the stock that you bought. Basically, it's going to leave you feeling confused, like like you don't know what you're doing, and then that's gonna play into future decisions. So Basically, all financial wounds are caused of emotional wounds, and emotional wounds, they need to be processed correctly. They need to be, basically like not swept under the rug, not just like forgotten about. A lot of people, use like drugs and alcohol to forget about emotional wounds and stuff like that. But those things need to be like faced and really examined to see, what caused them, that kind of thing. Uh, and really, these kind of things are gonna have a huge effect on mood, and mood mainly has a huge effect on the type of risks and the size of risks that people take. So, for example, if someone has, here's some bad news, just like in life, if they get into a bad situation, they're going to be put in a fight or flight type of mindset, and fight or flight mindset really equates down to bringing some of the worst financial decisions that people can make, because when a person's in fight or flight, they don't really have time to go over the consequences and the positive aspects of something and really evaluate everything like they should. So, you know, uh, bad decisions are gonna usually make a person be in a sad mood, unhappy mood, and when people are unhappy, they tend to put themselves in more risky situations. A lot of things behind that, regarding different emotions like envy and anger, because they want to like get back and make up for what they lost, stuff like that. Whereas like when people are happy, they're wanting to take less risk, mainly because they want to avoid a loss, because a loss is going to bring an unhappy mood, and when people are happy, they want to stay happy. So it's like the more and more good decisions that you make, you're going to be in a better mood over time, and you kind of just got to get yourself into that groove and that mindset where you can just keep on making those good decisions and better decisions, and just a learned skill, kind of like anything else. So also when people are unhappy, they tend to place less value on their own personal items or something else that they might want, something like that. They think it's not worth as much, so that's going to affect how much they're going to want to pay for stuff, things like that. Or when a person's happy, they will place more value on something that they have. They're not going to just go sell their house for cheap because the market's low or something like that. So basically, two of the biggest emotions when it comes to managing money, investing money, making business decisions and stuff like that is understanding fear and anger. So these two emotions affect a lot of people to make financial decisions. A lot of financial decisions that should not be made, that people make, are based on having a fear or an anger type of mindset. Now, when a person's afraid, fear comes from, a person, like, they know that there's like some kind of threat, but they're not really clear of what it is. They just like, they don't understand it, but they know it's not good. And anger usually comes from a person who knows that there's some kind of negative influence in their life, some kind of threat in their life, but they know what it is. So when they can put an event or a person or something like that, it causes more of an anger than a fear, because they can direct that as something. So basically, when people are afraid, when people have fear, they're afraid to take risk because they feel like they have less control over their environment, and they're going to take less risk. So when people are angry, they feel like they do have control over what's going on because they know what's going on, and they're going to tend to take more risk. So you just got to be aware of what kind of mindset you're in when decisions are coming to be made, and that realize that what category you might be falling into at the time, and how is that going to affect what you're doing. And another wise saying goes that pride comes before the fall. So basically, when a person gets too overconfident, they tend to make mistakes. If a person ends up winning, say you give you like 10 wins in a row, of course it's going to build your confidence, but that can also lead to putting less evaluation into what you're doing, being less conscious about what you're doing, and then that can usually lead to some of the biggest losses that people take. That's why it's common when people are professional traders and stuff like that, and they might work for a company, something like that. If they're doing really good, and this is really counterintuitive, what the boss will say is, hey, go take a vacation. You made more money for us than any of our other employees this month, but because you've done so good for so long, I need to pull you off of this trading desk because I know that some of the worst decisions people make and some of the biggest losses people take come right after they've had some of their best runs. So this is very counterintuitive, but wise people realize that, hey, when everything's going good for a long time, that's when it's time to be cautious. Like, just be careful. Always be conscious about what you're doing, because it's very important to not make big mistakes, and usually they can come at the worst time when people least expect it. So really, I would have to say, to sum everything up, a lot of this comes down to having greed. When it comes to investing or money in general, greed is kind of like a person's worst enemy. Uh, Greed causes impulsive decisions. When people are greedy, they make bad decisions. They make decisions too early, and yeah. So basically, at the end of the day, you want to kind of keep a lot of traders keep a journal. A lot of poker players, a lot of people who deal with large sums of money, they keep a journal because it's important to kind of like look back at what kind of mind process you had when certain decisions were being made. So you want to look over time and try to become aware over time when you make decisions about the emotions that you have when you're making these decisions, but also what triggers certain emotions, because everyone's different. Everyone has different triggers that brings about different emotions. So like, look back to times where you took a loss. Like, what was the emotion? What triggered that emotion to start? And that kind of led into that loss. Look at another time where maybe you were insulted, where someone insulted you. Well, what was that they said, and how did that result in your mindset changing, and then what kind of like decision process were you making after that? Also, I mean, really take a look at times where you took a huge gain, or you won, or you had a long streak of winning, or you were very successful. And at times that could just be someone even like telling you like, hey, you're doing a good job. So I mean, it's really all relative. Like, it's different for different people. You just got to be more aware of that. So yeah, go back, thinking about the money, keep a journal in the future. Just become aware of all the really unconscious emotional defenses that you have, and that's gonna have a huge impact on your bank account, on the success of your business, on your ability to make passive income, on your ability to grow your business, and on your ability to invest and flip that money so that you can be where you want to be, and make sure that you're in alignment to the things that you want in life. That was the thought for today. If you liked it, go ahead and hit the like button. Go ahead and leave a comment if you got anything to say, and go ahead and subscribe if you have not done yet. Have a great day. Hope you enjoyed the talk.